All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Kickboxer 3, The Art of War. This is going to be another Karate Man recommendation. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It's about the same as the last one and the first one. It's not great, great flick. Karate Man thought I would like it better than the second one. I did, but not by much. It's all right. I'm looking at the DVD cover. It says Dennis Chan, Richard Komar, Noah Verduzco, Sasha Mitchell, Kickboxer 3, The Art of War, and Dolby Digital DVD video 18. Rated 18? I'm not sure what country this comes from, but it looks like Japan with the 18. It reminds me of Fist of the North Star or Akira DVD where it says not for kids. Anyway, not a great kickboxer film. If I was to rank it though, I would probably rank it out of the 5 that I've seen so far. I would probably rank it number 4. Yeah, I'd probably rank it number 4 out of 5. There's only one really good one, the last one, honestly. Kickboxer 3, stylized on screen as Kickboxer 3, The Art of War, with 3 Roman numerals, which is how I put it in the description, and released in other countries as Karate Tiger 6, Fighting Spirit, is a 1992 U.S. martial arts film directed by Rick King. The film is the third in the Kickboxer film series, with only Sasha Mitchell and Dennis Chan returning from the previous films. It was also the last film to feature Dennis Chan as Xian Zhao. So this is 1992, and this is a movie review. There, I just fixed the title. Hopefully it didn't result in just when he thought he was rid of Adrian. What? Adrian's back in the chat room after 2 weeks of not commenting or being in the chat room. He just suddenly reappears after a beer-induced coma. All right. A young woman flees through the jungle while attempting to escape from Frank Lane, a U.S. dude running an illegal child sex ring operation. Not exactly white slavery, but pretty close, in Brazil. Upon being recaptured, she is taken back to Lane's home, and she is executed in front of the other slaves as punishment for her actions. Lane just shoots her in the stomach. Her body is later shown washed up on the beach while Sasha Mitchell and Dennis Chan are landing in Rio, Brazil. Meanwhile, kickboxing champion David Sloan and his trainer Xian arrived in Rio de Janeiro for a championship bout, with the girl's dead body on the beach as the background. Though Gianna's focus on training for the upcoming fight, David dismisses the idea in favor of relaxing in the city. Well, he wants to party. While eating lunch, the camera is suddenly stolen by a young thief who doesn't look at all Brazilian. He looks Mexican. And David gives chase. After fighting off a pair of drunken assailants, he catches up to the boy, who then brandishes a knife. But David easily disarms him and takes back the camera. Okay, of course, kickboxer versus knife, no match for the knife. When the boy Marcus follows him back to the restaurant to reclaim the knife, Zien invites both him and his beautiful sister, Isabella, to join them for lunch, and they eventually become friends. Hey, that's a pretty cool little redemption there. You get the grimy, homeless kid thief to become your friend after he steals your camera twice. Okay. Production company Kings Road Entertainment, distributed by Live Entertainment in the U.S. and Vision International, non-U.S. Release date September 4th, 1992. Running time 92 minutes. Pretty good timing. Country United States. Languages English and Portuguese. A budget of $5 million. It's always cheaper to shoot in Brazil, right? At a charity kickboxing event, not coincidentally for homeless Brazilian kids, David is asked to be the corner man for another young fighter in an exhibition match against Eric Martin, played by Ian Jacklin, who looks pretty mean and menacing in this one. He's got long hair and a beard. And he's just beating the crap out of Argentine kickboxer managed by Lane. Oh, I'm sorry. Ian Jacklin plays the Argentine kickboxer managed by Lane, who also happens to be David's opponent for the upcoming championship fight. Really, the only reason to watch this is for the strip club scene in Rio. And also with Dennis Chan hitting on one of the strippers. And that was the highlight of the movie. And also the ending had a pretty decent kickboxing match between Ian Jacklin and Sasha Mitchell. I didn't even know that David Chen was capable of any fighting moves until I saw this movie. But everything happened so fast, I couldn't tell that it was all carefully choreographed to make him look like a karate champion for 1 second. Anyways. The aggressive Martin brutally beats the young fighter, prompting David to physically intervene on his behalf. As a result, David's bout with Martin is billed as a grudge match. Oh, even more money. This is like a wrestling fight here. Lane apologizes to David for Martin's actions, and Lane invites him to a party he is hosting. Too bad for young Isabella. David attends the party with Marcos and Isabella as his personal guests, dress up in nice clothes for once. Upon meeting her, Lane becomes infatuated with Isabella. She's got to be like 12 years old. Anyway, after David parts ways with the children for the night, Lane secretly sends out a group of men to kidnap her. In a panic, Marcos asks for David's help. They file a police report, but with an overwhelming backlog of unsolved cases on their hands, the authorities do not consider their case a priority, and the cops advise them to simply forget about Isabella. Not much in the way of a police help in this movie. And as a matter of fact, at one point, the police are trying to deter David from from going back there. And David's lines are he sounds like he's really dumb. He's got the spike hair and the sleeveless shirt. He's trying to look cool, but the words that come out of his mouth make him sound like he's dumb, like he's the male version of a dumb blonde. Anyway, undeterred, David and Gian launch their own investigation. The Keystone cops are useless here, which ultimately leads to their arrest. Lane bails them out in an attempt to cover his tracks, but the two continue their search. They purchase guns from an arms dealer in some shanty cardboard village there, and they infiltrate a mansion owned by a pimp named Bronco, eventually discovering that Lane is behind the child sex ring operation. Bronco is just the financier of the child sex operation is Bronco. But Lane is the Jeffrey Epstein dude in Brazil. They confront him in his home, but they are ambushed and they are taken prisoner. Lane and his henchman Pete force David through a series of grueling exercises designed to weaken him before his match with Martine, such as hiking with a backpack full of rocks and water skiing without skis and digging a grave like 20 feet deep and 20 feet wide, things like that. He then releases both men back to their hotel, warning that if David doesn't show up for the fight, Isabella will disappear forever. With Marco's help, Gian is able to create and administer a cure for David's fatigue that includes snake venom. It's I won't comment on the other snake venom. At the fight, David manages to defeat Martine. Of course, you knew that was going to happen. And Gian is successful in rescuing Isabella before Lane can flee the area. Lane, who wagered his entire estate upon Martine's victory, is left bankrupt, and Pete ultimately deserts him. Upon being reunited with Marcos, Isabella tells him about the other girls Lane has in prison, and David resolves to free them as well. So we have a little extra 10 minutes padding to the movie. In retaliation, Lane pulls a gun on David, but Marcos suddenly appears and he stabs Lane in the stomach with his knife. The Mexican-Brazilian kid. In the end, the police sergeant decides to cover up Lane's murder, and David arranges for Marcos and Isabella to attend an orphanage school. And don't ask me to explain the ending because it makes no sense whatsoever. All right. In an interview with Sam Weisberg for the website Hidden Films, director Rick King said working with Sasha Mitchell was extremely difficult with frequent temper tantrums and even threats of violence. I think he thought people thought he was stupid, which was true. His words come out stupid in this movie. And he was also violent, and so he used his position of privilege as a star in a very negative way. The film was not well received by critics. This film is pretty low on the list of Kickboxer franchise films. I'm ranking it 4 out of 5. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It's typical Kickboxer movie. Nothing special. I mean, when I say 4 out of 5, I'm saying 2, 3, and 4 are pretty similar in terms of ratings. I'm sorry. I meant to say 3 and 6. No, I meant to say 2, 3, and the original. No, I meant to say 3, 6, and the original. Sorry. They're all tied for 3 out of 5 stars. All right. Kickboxer 3, The Art of War, 1992, rated R, 1 hour, 32 minutes. The the stripper club scene was too short, and the ending didn't make sense. So it gets a low 4.2 out of 10 on IMDb. I'm being generous, giving it a 3 out of 5 or 6 out of 10. 3,700 ratings. David Sloan travels to Rio for a kickbox exhibition. There he saves 2 youngsters and stops a white slaver. So it is white slavery. Okay. We like white slavery on this channel. We like the boxing scene at the end. We like the strip club scene. We do not understand the behavior of Rio de Janeiro police in this movie, especially at the end. uh, the rest of the movie is just pure crap. Why would you go about watching the rest of the movie? Oh, because it's a Karate Man franchise. That's why. All right. Here's a review by F. Marklin 32, dated June 11, 2006. The title of the review on IMDb is called War and What It's Good For. F. Marklin 32 gives it a 5 out of 10, closer to my rating, but still below my rating. Sasha Mitchell reprises his role as David Sloan, who has since number 2 become a bona fide kickboxing champion who flies to Rio to compete to defend his championship. However, along the way, he decides to take down a prostitution racket, and he does so without hardly breaking a sweat. Did I give away too much by the last sentence? Well, let's just say that this predictable sequel is a marginal improvement over number 2. My point exactly. This time there's more attractive scenery, more action, and more plot than number 2, which was irritatingly straightforward. That being said, the movie is still hugely flawed. The main problem dealing with the fact that Kickboxer 3 has little kickboxing. Indeed, the fight sequence at the end, as well as the opponent, could have easily been written out and it wouldn't have changed a thing. Mitchell and Chan rely more on guns, and while this element works for action films, the lack of training montage and fights make this a tepid effort. 2 out of 4 stars, fair. All right. So there's a less positive review. As an action film, it's good, but it's not as good as Best of the Best 4, for instance, which is also a kickboxing film that pretends. It's also an action film that pretends to be a kickboxing film. All right, more like this: Kickboxer 2, The Road Back, which was not a good sequel. Then we've got Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor, number 3 on the list. Kickboxer 5. I'm sorry, The Redemption Kickboxer 5 is It is number 6 on my list, I think. And then we've got Kickboxer Retaliation, which I think is the best of the 4. If memory serves me, my memory's going. I'm getting old and I tend to forget things. Oh, Adrian's gone. Okay, that was quick. In and out. I insulted him with a beer comment. He didn't like that. All right, early in the film, when the characters are in the kickboxing exhibition, David is wearing a top which reads Benny the Jet's World Champion Karate. Benny Urquidez was an undefeated kickboxing champion over a career lasting almost 30 years, and he is considered one of the best ever alongside people such as Don the Dragon Wilson, I should say. Can't leave the dragon out. He has been in 2 Jackie Chan films, which are Wheels on Meals and Dragons Forever, and he worked along as choreographer and fight coordinator in the second film in this series, The Road Back. I guess he didn't come back for number 3, Benny the Jet Urquidez. Sloane's pants change from blue to white after he's captured, attacking Lane's house. Xian, remember, the body and the mind do not always... What? Sorry, IMDb is behaving strangely today. It's taking me to the trivia section, and I just want to be on the main page. Okay. Xian's quoted as saying, remember, the body and the mind do not always travel together. Released in 2 versions in Germany, an uncensored, not under 18 version, though it was BPJM index from 1993 to 2018, and a censored not under 16 version, which is cut by 45 seconds to remove shots of blood from the shooting scene. Okay. So the DVD cover that I was reading off of was from Germany, not Japan. Sorry to make a mistake. This was followed by Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor, 1994, which is number 3 on my list. Soundtracks Casa de Samba, performed by Bando do Carnaval, courtesy of Delta Music Inc., published by Delta Worldwide and MIM Publishing. Release date October 23rd, 1992 in Turkey, country of origin United States, languages English and Portuguese, also known as Kickboxer 3, The Art of War, filming locations Brazil, production companies Kings Road Entertainment, MPC Films, and technical specs, runtime, 1 hour, 32 minutes. It's in color, and the sound mix is ultra stereo. So there you have it. Kickboxer 3, The Art of War. There wasn't much war happening in this one. Frenzy 1972 is number 1 on my list. Number 2 is I Bury the Living, 1958. And number 3 is Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor. So I'm going to take a little nappy poo, then I'll check out Frenzy, the R-rated Hitchcock film. Hopefully it's available on Tubi for free, or YouTube for free, or Amazon Prime for free. Usually it's Tubi is the only free one. But occasionally you'll see free movies pop up on YouTube and Amazon Prime. So wish me luck. I've been watching two free movies so far on YouTube. This one and Jungle Bride. So I'm saving money. Thank you. Don't have to pay $3.99 for this stuff later.